With defence cuts, we're on our knees. Putin's a nightmare, but no, we're going to cut 500 million. We're talking about a government that wants to screw pensioners and wants to screw the rural community. But then today, on the top of all of that, something very sad happened, ladies and gentlemen. Jaguar, that car... We were talking about this, MG and I, earlier. MG, not Mike Graham, not MG. Anyway, we were talking about, like, when you were growing up our age, you wanted a Jaguar. It was the, you know, it was like it was the car. This is the noise the old Jaguar advert used to make. Play this. Growing up, that was like something special. Today, Jaguar announced their new advert. Have a watch, have a listen. This is oh, have a listen, watch, please. For people who aren't watching this, I'm going to just describe this. It's a bunch of models in yellow, orange and white caftans, sitting on a lump of crap with a paintbrush, wandering around. And it says, delete ordinary, smash, break moulds. It looks like an invite to a transgender birthday party. Only one person to speak to, former Top Gear presenter and motoring journalist, the legend that is Steve Berry. Steve, what's going on with the world, man? It can't take any more. I can't.
Well, for once, pal, I actually feel qualified to comment on something that I've been asked to pass comment on. For once.
Go on, then.
My Jaguar heritage is this. We've said this before. I grew up sitting on the black leather seats of my grandfather's British Racing Green 3.8-litre Mark II Jaguar. I personally have owned over a dozen Jaguar cars. XJ6s, XJ40s, an XK8, a V8 S-Type, an XJR. I knew Norman Dewis, the Jaguar test driver. I drove the last E-Type, by the way, a black roadster with a V12 engine. What a car. I drove it flat out. I've just been on holiday with two of the Jaguar designers, Ian Callum and Peter Stevens. So for once, I feel qualified to comment. And I say this, good on Jaguar. Yeah, not the expected answer. Good on them.
Why?
Because the world has changed, man.
Oh, get stuffed. I'm not having that from you at all. What's a bunch of people? No, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. There's no car, man.
Mate, they can either go quietly into that dark night and disappear. Ask an American, stop an American our age and say, did you ever imagine that Pontiac would go? The people who made the Firebird.
You're not helping me
the
here.
People who made the Smokey and the Bandit
Steve, I'm all for different opinions. Explain this to me. Elon Musk tweeted today. How am I supposed to know that's for a Jaguar car? It's a bunch of weird models on a...
They're not selling cars, mate.
Well, it says Jaguar at the end.
Not selling cars. If you want a car, do you know what you can do? You can go to your MG garage, which is in every town and city in Britain now, and you can buy a really cheap, really good electric car made in China. If you want to actually move yourself and your family from A to B, you can do that. If you want a work of art, and that's why they're unveiling these cars at the Miami Art Fair, you can buy the new Jaguar in about 2 years' time. Because next year, they're not making any cars.
Can't have it.
And all they're doing, and people haven't noticed this because they're not car journalists. There's far too... Get your tanks off my lawn. I'm a car journalist, right? There's far too many people commenting on this with no idea.
It's woke rubbish.
About.
I don't care.
This has already been done. It's already been done in the States by Cadillac.
And?
Cadillac had exactly the same problem. How do we convince people to spend 3 or 4 times what they could spend on an affordable, efficient, reliable Chinese car?
Why wouldn't you tell them about Jaguar, the car, the pull that you had, the engine, listen.
It's over, mate. That's all gone. You know, Jeremy, like the music halls and like rock and roll music.
Have you had a breakdown? What's the matter with you, man?
Over. Mate, it's done. Stop holding on to the past. You're like Abe Simpson. Go outside and shake your fist at the sky. Make that noise. Oh.
What is wrong with you? Don't do that. That didn't look right. Have you given up? Has something happened to you? You did taking some illegal substance or something. What happened to you fighting back against the wokerati? What happened to my mate Steve saying, do you know what? That's not right. You've got to look at it. What's happened to you? You turned vegan or something?
Because you've got to accept that you can rage against the way the world is, mate, but it ain't going to change it. The world has changed. Right, because here's the thing. Me and you aren't in the market for a new Jag, probably. But my eldest daughter, who's a young woman in her early 30s, she's got a law degree, she might be in the market for one of those cars. So guess who that advert's aimed at, mate? It's not aimed at the Collins and the Clives and the Grahams of this world who are all whining on the internet today because they can't buy one with a diesel engine. It's aimed at a new generation.
So what happens to us?
Different ideas and different values, and they probably think that advert is really cool, even though they're not old enough to remember.
What do you think? Do you think the advert's cool?
No, I think it's derivative, because you'll remember this. It reminds me of the adverts that Jean-Paul Goude did in the 80s for Benetton. It's just like those adverts, isn't it? Do you remember those acid-drenched colours? And what he was doing then was the same as here. Benetton was saying, why would you pay 3 or 4 times for a jumper what you can buy in Marks and Spencer's? Well, because our jumpers are cool and different, and we're cool and different. And if you wear our jumpers, you could be cool and different. And that's what Jaguar are trying to do. And I, for one, applaud them for trying to do something. Because if they kept on just making diesel and petrol cars,
we've lost him,
they would just be bankrupt.
I thought Steve Berry was in my camp. I used to go to Benetton a lot. I didn't like to ban them. I just liked to unfold things, just to hack off the assistants. Steve Berry, motoring journalist, says we've got it wrong. The world has changed. This is buying an idea. It's not buying a car.